A prince is dead. A hedge knight rides free, and the fate of Westeros was quietly sealed in a muddy tournament field, and most people had no idea they were watching history happen. The Season 1 finale of HBO's A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms drew its curtain on one of the most emotionally charged storylines the network has produced in years, delivering a conclusion that is equal parts grief, defiance, and quiet hope. Titled The Morrow, the sixth and final episode of the debut season picks up in the shattered aftermath of the Trial of Seven at Ashford Meadow, where Sir Duncan the Tall, played with raw, lumbering sincerity by Peter Claffey, emerged victorious but deeply visibly broken. His wounds are physical. His burden, however, is something far heavier. Baelor Targaryen, the Hand of the King and heir to the Iron Throne, is dead, played with measured grace by Bertie Carvel. Prince Baelor, known to history as Breakspear, was struck fatally in the head during the trial by a mace swing from his own brother Maekar Targaryen, portrayed by Sam Spruell. The cruel irony of the blow was not lost on Dunk. Baelor had stepped into that trial to save the life of an insignificant hedge knight, a man from the mud of Flea Bottom, a man Baelor had deemed worth fighting for. That guilt dogs Dunk through every scene of the finale. He sits with Sir Lionel Baratheon, played by Daniel Ings, and wonders aloud how a foot could possibly be worth a prince's life. It was Lionel who had asked Dunk to fight in the trial, and Lionel who now offers him a home at Storm's End. The offer is generous. Dunk declines. Meanwhile, a mourning and conflicted Maekar approaches. Dunk with a different proposition entirely. "Swear your sword to me," he says, "and continue training my youngest son Egg as your squire at Summerhall." The prince is quiet about his reasons, but they are plain enough. His two elder sons, Daeron and Aerion, have become a drunken coward and a vicious tyrant, respectively, and Maekar hopes that Dunk's earthy, unvarnished sense of honor might save Egg from the same fate. Dunk says no to that too. He is done with princes. Young Egg, played by Dexter Saul Ansell, does not take the rejection quietly. With the sharp instinct that only a child can wield, he tells Dunk exactly what he needs to hear, that he is not the knight Egg believed him to be. It lands, it stings, and it lingers. The episode then takes a quieter turn when Prince Daeron raises the idea of nature versus nurture, with Dunk mentioning that Aerion was not always the monster he became. Something shifts in Dunk after that conversation. He goes back to Maekar with a counteroffer. He will take Egg as his squire, but Egg will live as he did on the road, earning calluses, sleeping under open skies, learning the world as it actually is, rather than as royal walls present it. Maekar refuses. The pride of the blood of the dragon does not bend to hedge knights. Sam Spruell gives what may be his most affecting performance of the season in this finale. In a wordless scene that speaks entire chapters, Maekar finds Egg standing at Aerion's bedside, clutching a dagger, staring at his own white hair, growing back in hair that looks too much like his cruel brother's. Maekar does not rage. He does not punish. He places his hands gently on Egg's shoulders. He understands. He always understood. He simply cannot let go of his last son. Egg, as it turns out, has already let go of him. In the closing sequence of the season, Egg tells Dunk that Maekar has given his blessing for the boy to ride with him. Dunk, moved, and perhaps a little desperate to believe it, accepts. The two ride out together, knight and squire, into an open road that feels for the first time this season like a genuine beginning. Dunk pauses at a tree and nails a penny to its bark, honoring the tradition of his late mentor Sir Arlan of Pennytree. The ghost of Arlan, played by Danny Webb, rides briefly beside them before turning onto a path of his own, a bittersweet farewell that signals Dunk is finally fully his own man. The final moments of the episode then reveal, with a touch of dry humor in the end, credits that Egg never actually got Maekar's permission at all. The boy simply ran. Maekar, seen searching frantically as his wagons roll out of Ashford, is left behind, and that image of a father reaching after a son already gone may be the most haunting shot of the entire season. As for where the story goes from here, showrunner and co-creator Ira Parker has been candid with the press about the shape of things to come. Season 2 will adapt The Sworn Sword, the second of George R.R. Martin's tales of Dunk and Egg novellas, with Dunk and Egg's discussion in the finale about heading to Dorne, the hot, desert-covered southern region of Westeros, potentially setting up geography for the next chapter. Parker also confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter that the long-term arc of the series is intended to follow Dunk and Egg through the entirety of their lives, drawing not only from Martin's 3 published novellas, but also from an additional 12 outlines the author has provided for stories not yet committed to the page. That creative infrastructure gives the show a stability that its predecessor Game of Thrones famously lacked in its final seasons. Parker noted that while the ins and outs of every tale may not be written, the major beats of Dunk and Egg's lives are already mapped canonically, reducing the risk of the show losing its narrative compass. He added that although HBO's current planning appears to envision a 3-season run, he personally would be happy to see the story continue all the way through Egg's eventual coronation as King Aegon V, known to Westerosi historians as the Unlikely and beyond. In fact, he said he would do 12 seasons if given the chance. The death of Baelor Targaryen, as Martin himself noted in a 2022 interview, is one of those events that reshapes everything downstream. Had Baelor lived, the history of Westeros might have looked entirely different. Instead, the throne eventually passed to Maekar, and from Maekar's line came Aerys II, the Mad King, whose reign collapsed into Robert's rebellion, whose fallout produced Daenerys Targaryen's exile, and whose shadow stretched all the way to the events of Game of Thrones. All of it, in some quiet and terrible way, traces back to one hedge knight who was not supposed to matter. The twist that Parker and his writers introduced in the finale, that Egg left without his father's blessing, rather than with it, departs from Martin's source material in a meaningful way. It makes Egg bolder, more willful, and raises immediate questions about how that unauthorized departure will color the dynamic between Dunk Egg and Maekar going into Season 2. Parker has not spelled out the full implications, but the final image of Maekar searching desperately among the departing wagons suggests the show is in no hurry to let that tension dissolve. What begins next season under the sun of Dorne or wherever the road carries them remains to be seen. But the world of Westeros, and the modest muddy corner of it, where a big man and a small boy ride side by side, has never felt more alive. Where do you think Dunk and Egg's journey should take them next season? Do you think Egg made the right call walking out on his father, or will that decision come back to haunt him? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to stay ahead of every twist, every reveal, and every piece of Westerosi lore worth knowing, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single update.